Welcome to the break. Hey guys, it's Williston back again, the Break Duelist. Today we're going to be doing a deck profile for you guys. It's one that we talked about doing in one of our previous videos. It's going to be RoGouki's, which will be nicknamed as copyrighted by ourselves, RoGouki's. The reason why we're actually doing this video a little bit early, I do want to announce that we do have a family obligation coming up with my son and my wife's. So we are going to be doing this deck profile a little bit earlier than our typical every Thursday or every other Thursday release. And without further ado, let's jump straight into the deck profile. The first card that we have is 2 copies of the Marauding Captain, otherwise known as Captain America. He's a level 3 Earth-type warrior monster whose effect reads, when this card is normal summoned, you can special summon a level 4 or lower warrior-type monster in defense position. Also, while this card remains face up on the field, you cannot target another warrior-type monster except for this card. The next card that we're playing is 2 copies of Goku Twist Cobra. He is a level 3 Earth warrior type monster whose attack is 1600, 0 defense. And his effect says once per turn you can discard one other Gouki from your hand to target one Gouki face up on the field. And the Gouki monster that's on the field gains attack equal to the Gouki sent from your hand. You can use each effect once per turn. Also, to go ahead and get this out of the way, all Gouki monsters that are not Gouki Link monsters carry a float effect, which is if they are destroyed by battle or card effect and leave the field and sent to the graveyard for any reason, you get to search out one Gouki card directly from your deck to your hand except for the named card. The next one that we have is 2 copies of Gokyo Headbat. It is a level 2 Earth Warrior monster who has a quick effect. Says once per turn you can go ahead and target one Gouki monster that you control, discard one Gouki monster from your hand. To special this Gouki monster, being Gokyo Headbat, to your field and defense position, the targeted monster that you targeted on your field gains 800 attack until the end of the turn. And it also gets the same float effect that all Goukis get that are not Gokyo Link monsters. The next one is 2 copies of Gouki octostretch. It's the level 1 Gouki monster who's actually a hand trap, has 0 attack, 0 defense, is also a Earth warrior monster. The effect is if you were to take battle damage and or effect damage once per turn, you can discard him to the graveyard. And when you do this, you take half that effect damage or half that battle damage. It also gets the float effect if it's sent from the field to the grave by card means or by battle. You can get the Gouki search effect to grab another Gouki card directly from the deck except for octostretch. Next up, we're playing 3 copies of Goku Super X. He's the level 4 Gouki monster, also Earth Warrior with 1800 attack, 0 defense. This card's effect reads that when he's normal summoned, you can special summon one Gouki monster directly from your hand. And then in addition to that, if this card were to leave the field because of battle and or card effect, it gets the Gouki float effect. You need to play this card at 3 because he's an absolute necessity to have in your hand, especially opening boards, to be able to get into any of your combo starts that you can use with Super X. Getting a free special summon is very important for Goukis, so you need to play this guy at 3. Any less and I don't know what you're doing. And for the 1 level 5 that we're playing is 1 copy of Gokyo Scorpio. He's the level 5 Gouki target who has 2300 attack, 0 defense, whose effect does read if you control no monsters or all monsters that you control are Gouki monsters, you can normal summon this card without tributing. If you control no monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand. In addition to that, it does get the Gouki float effect that specifies if he leaves the field because of card effect and or battle, that you can go ahead and search out another Gouki card except for Scorpio and add that target to your hand. Next, we are playing the 1 copy of Gokyo Bearhug. This is otherwise known as Bear in the Big Blue House. He's a level 6 Gouki monster who's a Earth Warrior with 2400 attack, 0 defense. The effect of this card says if you special summon this card off the effect of a Gouki monster, or if you normal summon this card with at least 1 Gokyo Tribute, You can go ahead and target one monster your opponent controls, cut its attack in half until the end of the turn. It also does receive the GoKey float effect that if it leaves the field because of card effect or because of battle, you can go ahead and search out another GoKey card directly from your deck and add that to your hand, except for Gokyo Bearhug. This card is a absolute teddy bear. You must play one, otherwise you have no soul. Alright guys, we are playing one copy of the Perry Knights, otherwise known as Bruno Mars and Nicki Minaj, with 2300 attack, 2100 defense. The effect of this card is if you take battle damage, you can special summon this card with 2300 from your hand. Then you can immediately special summon one other monster from your hand equal to or less than the damage that you took during battle from that. So this gets you 2 free monsters on board if they don't have anything else to take out, like the smaller monster or the 2300. I would recommend playing this just because it's a free double special summon or double summon, just being able to special, and it helps you get into big link monsters quickly, and that's why we play the one of. Next up is one copy of the Kaiju Gamma Seal. It's a water type level 8 monster who has 2200 attack, 3k defense. It's not really important the typing on this card. What's important about this card is a Kaiju that you contribute your opponent's monsters. This includes the link monsters to get rid of problematic cards like Firewall Dragon, Saryuja, Firewall, just those cheap rank 4s that people can get into off Scapegoat. This helps get rid of those. Plus it combos well with being able to use Kaiju Slumber. To go with the Gamma Seal, we are actually playing 2 copies of the Thunder King Kaiju with 3300 attack and 2100 defense. It's a level 9 light type thunder monster. And the reason why we're playing the 2 copies is for the Kaiju Slumber play. You get the 33 on your side, put the 22 on their side, swing for the 11. And then later on, if you need to have a big monster pressure on board, you can go ahead and use your other Thunder King by banishing your Slumber to special summon this to the field, which is really nice. The nickname for this card is also Zapdos, so what we're doing is the double Zapdos and the one Ammonite. And that's what we're playing for the Kaiju engine. Next up, we are doing a small Protoplanet engine. The first one is going to be Protoplanet Scorpio. For those of you that don't know, what this card's effect is you can discard 1 card when this card is normal or special summon, and discard 1 card to special summon 1 other Protoplanet directly from the deck. The target that we're going to be using for this is of course going to be Darlington Cobra, the Protoplanet monster whose effect is when it's special summoned by the effect of a Protoplanet monster being Scorpio. You can go ahead and add 1 fusion spell card directly from your deck to your hand, in which case the target for that is actually going to be instant fusion. We'll get into why we're playing the instant fusion here in a little bit, but just know that the purpose behind this is to be able to get 2 level 3s on board that lets you add the instant fusion to your hand. Also, off the 2 level 3s, you can go into MX Saber, Invoker, which is an extra deck Xyz monster you guys will see here shortly, and we'll explain that combo as well. Next up, we have 1 copy of Hydro Turquoise, the Empowered Warrior. It's a level 3 water type monster that is warrior. The fact that it's water is not important. The attack and defense don't matter, but they are 1400 attack, 900 defense. It does have a flip effect, which is when it's flipped up, you can destroy 1 spell or trap that your opponent controls, which I guess in times can be useful, but the actual reason why we're playing this card is because it's searchable off of a field card that we'll be playing that you guys will see here in a minute when we jump right into the spells. What's important about this card is it's a level 3 warrior type monster, which is fuel for MX Saber Invoker. Next up is 3 copies of the spell field card, which is Empowerment. What this card does is it gives a 300 attack boost to all warrior, spellcaster, and dragon monsters that you control, not your opponent. And in addition to that, once per turn you can discard 1 card to special summon 1 empowerment card directly from your deck. And it must be a monster that is special summoned by the effect of this, which is why we're playing the turquoise turtle, is to be able to go ahead and get a free level 3 on board. You can combo this with normal summoning your Twist Cobra to go into MX Saber Invoker, use MX Saber Invoker's effect to get out a level 4 Earth monster in defense position, use those to go into a Link 2 monster. Empowerment's just an extra boost to all your warrior monsters, and then in addition to that, if you were to play Akashic Magician, it would give a boost to that as well. And in addition to that, it's a free special summon off your field card. Plus, it's a problematic card to get your opponent to try to blow something up. Next up is 2 copies of Scapegoat. We all know this play. You set this card, wait till the end of your opponent's turn, special summon for the sheep tokens, get a free Firewall, Saryuja, or just any generic rank, or not rank, but Link 4 monster that doesn't have any specific monster requirements. Just use the tokens for that. We actually are playing 2 of the Kaiba 10 tokens and 2 of the Yugi 10 tokens for those targets for both copies of Scapegoat. It's a Spell Speed 2 spell card that just gets you the tokens to get into nice Link 4 monsters. Alright, because it is legal now, we are playing the 1 copy of Monster Reborn for a free special summon from either your or your opponent's graveyard. You don't really have any cost to pay for it, so for free special summoning you play the 1 copy because it's legal. We are playing the 1 copy of Instant Fusion, as we did talk about earlier with the Protoplanet combo, to be able to search this out and being able to go to MX Saber Invoker. Use this card to pay 1,000 and you get the Secret 6 Samurai Raihan from your extra deck. And what it is a 2400 defense and attack wall that your opponent may not be able to deal with. Now keep in mind, the turn that you activate this, that monster doesn't get to attack, but you special summon with this, but that doesn't mean you can't use it as a link material or just an extra special summon for 1,000 life points to be able to get into a bigger link monster. It's just a 2400 wall that allows you to be able to have a extra monster on board to use as material. Next up we're playing 2 copies of GoKey Rematch. This card was previously at 3, however, due to some of the meta change, we are actually playing this card at 2 now. It is searchable off of any of the GoKeys off their float effects because it just is a GoKey card, and Rematch is a GoKey card. It's a Spell Speed 1 card that special summons 2 GoKey monsters with different levels from your graveyard and defense position. You can activate this card once per turn, and the reason why you're playing it as 2 is because you want to be able to get extra materials on board. Keep in mind the monsters that are special summoned by this effect, because if they are GoKeys, will get their float effects again once they leave the board if you use them for Link Summon. Next up, we are playing the 1 copy of GoKey Face Turn. What this card is, if you guys are unfamiliar with it, it's basically like Cunning of the Six Samurai, but built for GoKeys. What it says is you can target 1 GoKey monster that you control face up on the field, tribute that monster, then special summon 1 GoKey directly from your graveyard, and you can only activate GoKey Face Turn once per turn. This can be used during the battle phase as well, to go ahead and push for game. If you're just shy like 300 points, tribute 1 of the monsters that's already attacked, special 1 from your grave. That monster can battle still as long as the board's clear, and you can go for game off this. We are playing the 1 copy of 1 for 1, and the reason why is because the targets we're choosing for this is the 2 copies of GoKey octostretch. The reason why this is actually really good, and there's not really a downside to it, is even though GoKey octostretch is a hand trap and is intended to be able to cut damage in half, whether it be effect or battle damage, you can just ditch any 1 card from your hand, including another GoKey monster, to special it on the board. If your opponent doesn't kill octostretch, that gives you a material that you can use on your next turn, or even in the same turn, to go into a link monster, or possibly make some sort of other extra deck play depending on how you build your extra deck. In addition to this, if they do kill the octostretch, it doesn't negate the effects of the monster special summoned by this effect when you play 1 for 1, so it will get the float effect if they do remove it from board and send it to grave. So the downsides to this are 0. We are also playing the one copy of Reinforcement of the Army. This card is absolutely amazing in this deck because if you open with pretty much a brick hand, but you happen to have this, you can search out any 4 or lower warrior type monster, including Super X, and add that target to your hand, which can go ahead and get your combo started off. This helps you basically search for free for anything that's in your deck that's a level 4 or lower warrior type monster, and depending on what you have in your hand, you can make some really amazing boards or some interesting plays using this card. Next up, we are playing 2 copies of Twin Twisters. It's a Spell Speed 2 spell card that says that you can ditch any 1 card or discard 1 card to target 2 spells or traps on the field, destroy those targets. This doesn't negate, but being able to get rid of problematic field cards or even continuous spells or traps or even equip spells or traps is really good. This also specifies just a card, so you can actually drop a Gokey material engrave if that's what you need. In addition to that, you can also ditch things that maybe aren't so useful to you to possibly be recycled later in the game. Next up, we are playing 1 copy of Dark Hole. This card is absolutely amazing for Gokis, and the reason why is because even though RoGouki does give you a free board wipe for your opponent's board, Dark Hole does this a little bit better because it also kills the Gokis. Now, the reason why this is good is because, as I specified earlier, all Gokis, when they're removed from the field by card effect and by battle, they get a float effect. So after clearing the board, you can get a bunch of searches off, and if you haven't normal summoned yet, you can go into Super X to use its effect, get into a Link 2, or even just have a lot of pressure on board to attack with. This is really good mid to late game opening hands. You typically want to get to at least turn 3 before you see this card, but it's really good to be playing because you do get a lot of searches off of it. Next up, we are playing 1 more spell board wipe, which is Interrupted Kaiju Slumber. This card is absolutely amazing for the same purposes that Dark Hole is, only difference is this time, after you clear the board, you special summon 2 Kaijus. In this case, you'll special summon Gameciel with 2200 in attack position to your opponent's side. Then the Thunder King Zapdos to your side of the field with 33, swing for the 1100 difference. And if for some reason late game you need to get another special summon on board to use as a link material, or for another purpose you just need something to kind of deal with problematic high swingers, you can banish this card except for the turn that it was sent to the graveyard to special summon 1 Kaiju directly from your deck, in which case you get your other Thunder King. Now going into the traps, we are playing 1 copy of Trendle Tribute. This is a turn 2 Dark Hole that can be activated on your opponent's turn after they've normal summoned. You can go ahead and blow up the board. This can also be comboed the same way that Interrupted Kaiju Slumber and Dark Hole are, with the Gokey monsters to be able to get the free searches. Keep in mind the searches can target like GoKey Rematch or GoKey Face Turn as well. So this is a turn 2 Dark Hole. Next up, we are playing 2 copies of a really blessed old card called Desperate Tag. This is not intended to be a Gokey card, but it does carry the wrestling theme. What this card does is you can go ahead and take any battle damage that you would have received from a attack position monster that you control to 0. And at the end of the damage step, you can special summon 1 level 4 or lower warrior type monster directly from your hand. Keep in mind it does specify at the end of the damage step, so if your opponent goes in a battle phase and they keep hitting you for points, you have to wait till the end of their battle phase before you get that special summon. It's also a continuous trap card. You're playing it at 2 in case they kill the first one, because being able to special summon is important in Yu-Gi-Oh! Excuse my language. We are playing 1 copy of Nordic Relic Leviathan. I can't actually pronounce the last part of it. I think it says Leviathan, so I do apologize about that. If there's a mispronunciation, feel free to tell me about that in the comment section below. What this card says is if a monster destroyed another monster by battle this turn, you can target that monster and destroy it, and other cards and effects can't be activated in response to this card's activation. This is kind of like bad aim, only instead of targeting another card, you can target the card that attacked. And usually you want to use this on a card that swung over something that you put on board. And you want to play the one copy of this because it's not necessary to play more than one. Jumping straight into the extra deck now, we are playing one copy of the rank 3 MX Saber Invoker, who is a 1600 attack, 500 defense, rank 3 Xyz monster whose requirements are 2 level 3 monsters. The effect of this card is once per turn you can detach a material, special summon 1 Earth Warrior or Beast Warrior monster from your deck in defense position. You can only use this effect once per turn. You can get into this using the Protoplanet combo as well as using the Empowerment field card combo. There's quite a few ways to be able to get into MX Saber. What this is used for is to get into a Link 2 monster, or if you need another 2 monsters on board to be able to get into another kind of special summon. Playing the one copy of this because it just extends your combos. Next up, we are playing one copy of the Secret 6 Samurai Raihan. This is an instant fusion target. It's a 2400 defense, 2400 attack, fusion Xyz monster who is level 5, making him viable for paying the 1000 off the instant fusion that you are able to search out using the Protoplanet combo that also gives you the free MX Saber plus a Link 2. I would highly suggest getting the MX Saber combo off first to get your Link monster, and then be able to special summon the Raihan into one of the zones a Link monster points to. We are also playing for our first Link 2 of the deck, a Nightmare Phoenix. What this card does is once per turn you can discard a card to target one spell or trap that your opponent controls and destroy it, so MST. Next up, if this card was co-linked while using this effect, you can draw one card. And finally, any co-linked cards that are co-linked with this card cannot be destroyed by battle. This card's a staple that it will also be usable for going into Nightmare Mermaid. Next up, we have one copy of Nightmare Mermaid, which summoning requirement for that is 1 Nightmare monster, except for Nightmare Mermaid. It has a link arrow that points directly down, and the effect of this card is once per turn, you can go ahead and discard one card to draw one card. And then in addition to that, all monsters that are not co-linked lose 1000 attack and defense, unless of course they are co-linked. Next up, we have 1 or 2 copies of Mrs. Radiant. It's a Earth staple. What this card does is it gives a 500 power boost to all Earth type monsters, including itself. It also gives a 400 decrease to attack and defense of all Wind type monsters. If this card were to be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can go ahead and target 1 Earth monster in your graveyard and add that target to your hand. You can use each effect once per turn. Next up, we have 1 copy of Binary Sorcerers. So what this card is useful for is a Link 2 with arrows that point to either side. It also gains effect off of the monsters that are co-linked to this card. It's a slightly stronger version of Proxy Dragon, who actually carries one of the Gouki effects, which is Gokyo Bearhug. It lets you target 1 Gouki monster you control and transfer the attack, and then be able to cut one in half to add the attack to another one. When there's 2 co-linked cards to this card, you can target 1 card that this card points to and transfer half the attack to the other monster this card points to, and if it's co-linked with 1 monster, you gain that much life points instead during the battle step. Next up, we have our first Link 3 of the deck, which is Trigate Wizard. It gets corresponding effects based off the number of co-linked monsters. The arrows point directly up and to either side. If it's co-linked with 1 monster, you get to go ahead and during the battle phase of this card inflicts damage to your opponent, you can double that damage. If it is linked to 2 cards, then you can go ahead and use the effect to banish 1 card on the field. And if it's linked to 3 cards, you can negate the activation of a monster effect, spell, and or trap, and then banish it after negating it. Next up we have Gaia the Lightning Shadow. It's a Link 3 normal monster who is Earth with 2600 attack, and I believe it says no defense because, well, it's a Link 3. In addition to that, his arrows point directly down into either side. This is just to help you extend your link board, keep pressure on board with a decent attack, and also have an earth material if you need it. Next up, our first GoKey Link monster is going to be GoKey Thunder Ogre. It's a GoKey version of Decode Talker for the most part. How it works is it's got one link arrow pointing up and both in either corner. Kind of the same setup as Decode Talker. The effect is if a monster were to be destroyed by battle and or card effect that this monster points to, this monster can gain 400 for each of those monsters that's destroyed until the end of the turn. And then in addition to that, once per turn you can normal summon or set one additional time to a link zone that this card points to. Next up we have one copy of GoKey the Great Ogre. It's a Link 3 with all of its link arrows pointing down to either side in both corners and directly straight down. It's a 2600 swinger with 0 defense because it's a Link 3 monster. Its effect says that all monsters on the field lose attack equal to their defense. Gokeys don't get hurt by this because Gokeys don't have defense. They all have 0 defense. And then in addition to that, if this card were to be destroyed by battle or card effect, I can destroy one monster that this card points to instead. Next up we are playing the one copy of Decode Talker. He's a must in this deck. He gains 500 for each monster he points to, with his arrows pointing directly up into both corners at the bottom of the card. In addition to that, he starts at 2300 attack. He gains 500 for each monster he points to, and once per turn if a card were to target this card, you can go ahead and tribute one of the monsters this card points to negate the activation and destroy it. Next up is one copy of GoKey the Master Ogre. This is the only Link 4 GoKey monster that we have so far. It's a 2800 Earth Warrior monster whose effect reads that once per turn you can target any number of Gokeys that this card points to, return them to the hand, and then target that many cards on your opponent's side of the field, have their effects negated till the end of turn. This targets spells, traps, and monsters, including special summon monsters. In addition to that, this card can attack each of your opponent's monsters once each, and that's actually the reason why we're playing this, is because it helps get rid of boards quickly because it can attack multiple times in a turn. Next up we are playing one copy of Firewall Dragon. It's a Scapegoat target for 4 tokens. It's a 2500 attack, Link 4 monster with arrows that point to either side and straight up and down. And once per turn, or sorry, not once per turn, once while face up on the field, this card can target cards up to the number of co-linked cards to this card and return those targets back to the hand. It's basically compulsory, and this actually can be recycled depending on the build that you go with. It's just in there because it's a Scapegoat target, and then in addition to that, it's good to be able to bounce stuff back to the hand. And for the final Link monster, we do have one copy of Topological Bomber Dragon. It's a Link 4 who has the same link arrows as GoKey the Master Ogre. What this card does is once per turn you can go ahead and if you special summon a monster to a link arrow to a link zone that this monster points to, you can go ahead and destroy all monsters on the field that's on your opponent's side. And then in addition to that, if this attacks a opponent's monster and destroys it by battle, you can inflict damage equal to that monster's original attack to your opponent. In addition to that, it's also a 3K swinger who is a Scapegoat target as well. That is it for the deck profile for the RoGouki's. However, I do want to give a quick commentary section, I guess, for 2 possible sides that we do Instead of playing Turquoise the Empowered Warrior, we would run probably 2 copies of Terra Tiger the Empowered Warrior. It's a Earth Warrior level 4 empowerment card that you can search off the empowerment field card. We just happen to not have copies at the time for it, so apologies there. Plus, there's not enough space in the deck currently, but it can be modified to be able to play that card and be able to just have a free special summon of something that's level 4 to go into things like Steel Swarm Roach or other heavy swingers such as going into like Dark Rebellion XYZ Dragon. Another card that we are considering running if there was space for it is actually Terraforming. That's to give you a 4th copy of Empowerment into the deck. But playing 3 has been pretty reliable through playtesting. Without further ado, we do appreciate you guys going ahead and taking a little bit of time out of your day to go over the RoGouki or RoGouki deck profile with us today. This is Reese Williston, the Break Duelist, telling you that we will see you in the next break.
F-R-I-N-D-A